Hi, it's Mike back once again with tip number 98 from our top 100 tips, tools, and life lessons from the Insight One Awakening Heart Seminar. One of the things that occurs over the course of the Awakening Heart Seminar is that people tend to come in the seminar feeling quite different from, separated from one another. And maybe that's the beauty of diversity. You know, there's young people, older people, people with more experience, less experience, people who've been through different kinds of careers and family situations, and we'll have different races and different ethnic backgrounds. What's interesting as we move through the seminar is we begin to notice some commonality. It doesn't undermine or change the beauty of diversity, but it gets underneath our differences and begins to recognize the connection of our hearts. That when we go into our hearts and when we awaken our hearts, we find that there's something that we share universally, that humanity shares something in common, and it's something that resides in our heart. And it's as we go into our hearts and as we lift our consciousness, as we go through the journey, we find this commonality, we find this connection, so that at the end of the seminar, we feel quite connected to the people that we started the seminar with just a few days earlier. And it's not some kind of a magic thing in the seminar. I think most of us had this kind of experience at various times in life. And what it points to is that when we go into what we call our loving state, that place in our heart, what we do is we begin to lift above that separates us. It lifts us above the judgment. It lifts us above the things that tend to create that right-wrong dynamic and push us apart. And as we rise and as we lift and as we come into our hearts, we begin to connect to one another in a very powerful, special, and beautiful way. And we begin to realize that there's an aspect that's in every one of us. It sits in every one of us. And that when we live from that place of connection, that whatever we do from that place, it actually reaches out and has an impact beyond what we can even see. Because we've now closed the gap of separation. So as we've closed that gap of separation, we are literally more connected, not just to the people in that room or the people in our physical environment. We're actually more connected to all of humanity. And when we can take action from, when we can come from that space, whether we call it loving or forgiveness or courage or honesty or compassion, that when we're coming from that place, something happens that it actually ripples out and has an impact, usually an impact that we never see. But just think about the fact that the logic that when we've now come together in our hearts, we now have the opportunity to have a greater impact because there's nothing separating us in terms of our intention, our loving intention, and the rest of the world. So consider that so that when you make that choice, whether it's a choice for honesty, whether it's a choice for compassion, whether it's a choice for caring, whether it's a choice for courage, or anything that represents you connecting to your heart, that you're having a bigger impact. Sometimes we don't feel like we're making enough of a difference to the world. Anytime you come from that space, you're making a difference. You're having an impact. And I guarantee you, most times you'll never see where that lands, particularly if you trust and put that intention out that it goes wherever it's most needed. Wherever it's most needed. It can ripple out in the world and, I don't know, maybe a child who's hungry gets to eat today. Maybe it ripples out and somebody who's in pain, has an experience of being more at peace or some level of healing. So never underestimate the power of you coming from your loving heart. When you reduce that gap, you create that connection. And when you come from that place, you truly are powerful and you truly make a difference. Never underestimate the impact of living from your heart. Once again, thank you for listening. Check out what's happening at Insight Boston at insightboston.org, what's happening globally at insightseminars.org, and certainly check out what's happening in your local Insight community. Have a great day.